welcome to the Scandal After Show here at the Stream.TV, the Fan Show Network. Were any of you confused about tonight's episode? I mean, because I know I was, and I feel like we all were, so we gotta talk. All right, I'm your host, Jocelyn Polite, and I am joined by my smart and sexy co-host. To my left is the wonderful and beautiful A.J. Lawrence.
Hello.
And to my right is our birthday girl, Jillian Fleischman. And sitting next to Jillian is Christina Meyers. All right, wow. So tonight, a lot went on, and we got to talk about all this because I'm confused, and so we need your help. So join us in the chat on YouTube, the Stream's YouTube chat, and also hit us up on Twitter. Use the hashtag ScandalAS and let us know what your thoughts are and help us out figure what's going on. All right, so let's start off with the craziest thing, which was Jake. He started off, and I was so confused. I thought Jake had lost his mind and just started killing people, and I think all of us were like, where in the world is Jake going with this? Has he gone mad?
Yeah, it was confusing because you like believed that he was bad, and then he turned out to be good.
Yeah, and the trailer from last week, of course, wanted us to think that, and I feel like that all fed into, I don't know, the way that they just tricking us.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like everybody who's been affiliated with B613 that's been involved in Agent in some way has been crazy and been murderous on some kind of route, whether it's Huck or Olivia's father, and so it seemed natural that Jake would get his turn at, the crazy pill, but this time, of course, he's still the white knight, shining armor.
But I don't really like the way that they did it, to be honest, because, I know that we had been reading about and hearing about Twisty Jake, and we thought that he was actually going to, turn really back into who he was when he first came on Scandal, because he was really mysterious and kind of weird. But they just revealed it so fast. I mean, I'm not feeling like there was, I felt like that could have been a ride for us for a little bit.
I'm kind of struggling this season with all the episodes, how nothing feels like it's fluid. We're not carrying a real storyline from episode to episode. Like last week was all about Cyrus. We barely saw Cyrus in this episode. It's like they do enough of him where you're okay with it, that it's over, and then you're just kind of confused. We haven't seen Jake in a while, and all of a sudden this stuff happens with Jake, and I'm just kind of confused. I'm not in it.
There was resolution, and it was just weird. It was like, okay, it was pretty much in my mind, he did all of this in an hour.
Yeah, and it was
like, what?
It's like a climax real quick, and you're like, wow, I didn't even realize the plot had started. And you know, and it's like, I really, really, really love Scandal, but I'm just gonna have to give Shonda Rhimes a doing too much award, because that whole episode was doing too much.
Don't you kind of assume that they made him all this happen just in time for Papa Pope to come back and start more crazy? You know what I mean? It's like it's like they had to kind of end Jake's part of the season so that now we can get back to Papa Pope. But I don't really think it was done in a way that I'm engaging as a fan.
Well, it was when I was bringing Papa Pope back. I mean, it was setting the stage for that. So I mean, it's only going to get crazier, but it's sort of resurrecting the B613 saga. It's never ending. And I also Cyrus, it kind of. I don't really know where it's going. They sort of planted this seed of mischief and troublemaking, and I don't really understand why. I don't know. That felt like a little loose.
Yeah, no, they did just put him in there, and you're thinking, oh, Cyrus is in here, but I'm like, but there's only 3 minutes left in the episode. What is going on?
Right.
They had a lot going on, and the thing is, they were such interesting storylines, each and every one of them, but you really wanted them to be played out a little more, to be teased more, and I'm just kind of hoping that the rest of the season, it'll be even more meaty. This was an insane sampler.
It was, and Jake still didn't convince me. I mean, I don't know, the show still didn't give me a significant character in Jake. I mean, I got excited at the beginning because I thought okay, here we go. We're going to go on this ride, and finally he's going to do something that contributes, I feel like, to the show. And then now it's just okay, now we're back to, I'm sorry, but I know, Christina, you're going to say something.
I was going to say, okay, but how exciting was the B6, the reveal of the assistant, for, David, thank you. I was Dorothy.
That was good.
I mean, it was nice to see that.
It was a great reveal.
It was nice to see that they were.
No, it's just it was cute. It was aight. I was like, oh, okay.
You said it was aight.
Okay.
I was happy.
I liked the surprise.
I needed a workup. I needed something. It's kind of
okay.
It was like bad sex. I mean, it was
thank you. I was like, don't just take me to bed. Take me to dinner.
It's going to be all this, and then all of a sudden you get all this great foreplay, and then it's over. I mean, that's what I just felt like.
It was also kind of nice that Jake was on his own and was kind of like a rebel, and then at the end you find out, oh no. He's been honest with Olivia, and he's been helping Olivia out again.
Yep.
It was. I mean, and the thing for me is that I wanted to see more of Mel. I wanted to see more of that.
Oh my God!
And I didn't want to see as much of this Jake garbage.
Well,
I
let's
wanted to
talk
see
about Mellie because I'm sorry, I loved Harmony.
Yeah,
I loved her.
Yeah.
And I was so upset that she left at the end. I wanted more Harmony. I mean, she was an exciting new character and she was fun and she came in with her little country self and, you know, like waving her fork and I loved her. And so I'm just sad that went by quick
You're
too.
right. Something to contrast Mellie to would have been nice.
That was something to like learn so much more about Mellie and this character that we always see like brushed by the sidelines. And I just wanted to see more of that, what she's about and her sister and all that. And instead it just got totally like pushed aside. I don't know why.
It was like a fight at the table, at the dinner table, and then it was just over. So her sister blew in town, had dinner. You know, like a pork chop or two. Right. And then, you know, they had a fight at the table, which, you know, we figured the sisters would have an issue. And then all of a sudden now she's gone and I got introduced to her and I like her. I mean, so I guess maybe we'll bring her back in season 5 or 6, but I wanted to keep her around. I wanted her to have a storyline. I don't understand some of these characters not having storylines.
Yeah, they definitely brought in a lot of pieces, moving parts, and they gave you a taste of it, but they didn't give you the full thing. But then they exited the people so quick, you wonder, are they going to come back? And you want them to come back. You like them.
Right.
Well, Mellie made so much more sense to me after seeing her sister. That's why I really wanted it to be developed more, is because that relationship is why Mellie is so, you know, wants to do what she wants to do, is like get away from that.
Right.
So it was frustrating for me tonight. I wanted to see more of Harmony. I liked her a lot.
And I have to say that it also, you're right, because it also speaks to when Fitz was talking to Harmony about why Mellie is the way that she is, it made you understand how she reacts to Olivia taking her husband away from her because, you know, to her, the sister took her father away. And then here's another woman taking the man that she has love for away from her. So I did get a better understanding of Mellie, and I get that. I get where she's coming from, poor Mellie.
Yeah.
Well, there was a scandal, and the scandal was that the senator murdered.
A good scandal.
It was a good scandal, but it was kind of overlooked by everything else that was going on, I felt like. But it was a good scandal that went on with the senator who killed this man because he had slept with his sister, and the father took the blame for it.
Right, 15 years ago.
Right.
He's been in jail for 15 years.
To keep his son so that his son could have a life and everything, but he didn't. I mean, he was obviously like living in this little hole of like guilt, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
but it's like at the same time too, he's amounted to become a senator. He can make a lot of influence and do these great things. And I don't know, from a practical standpoint, I didn't like kind of how it unfolded because I'm thinking the father's been in prison for 15 years. That's 15 years of no job, no credit, and then you're going to come out and do what? And it's just kind of in exchange for your son, which is probably the only living person you have in your family line, going to prison. So essentially, you're coming out to nothing, and the only thing you live for is going in for nothing.
Okay,
so I was
but
like,
I really liked how it paralleled Olivia's life with her father, and I thought that whole monologue that she gave to him, I mean, it was just echoing her experience, you know, of being isolated and not having these bigger relationships, and like how the parent is trying to sacrifice for their child, but really just imprisoning them anyway. I thought that was pretty profound.
I thought it was a good scandal, but I felt like a bit of what was taken away was the time into it. It just seemed like it was resolved very quickly, and that there wasn't a whole lot of time that went into something that should have taken a little bit more time. And I think you even brought up, like, how would they, you know, they found the gun, everything just went fast. They found the gun, investigation, it was done. You know, found all these things out.
It was also rushed where, like, they talked about how this guy had slept with so many students. It's like, how come they wouldn't have uncovered that, like, the first time? Like, and the thing about Scandal is you hope for, like, the end of the episode to, like, kind of tie things up. And this was so rushed that I didn't feel like we really got to know enough to where it seemed complete.
And where was the investigation? I think that's the part that we were missing as well. We're used to that investigation, Olivia and, you know, OPA going into different places, maybe going back to the college, maybe going, I mean, that part, you know, I was kind of looking for. It was like everything took place, like, in prison. And, you know, in an office.
And what, like, did Olivia do this episode? I'm, like, thinking about it now, she was, like, on the phone with Huck and Quinn, and then she's, like, in the prison, but where was she?
And then she rolls in with the final conclusion of, it was you, it wasn't you. And it's like, really? Where did you pick up those clues?
And by the way, talking to the like, saying, oh, the son has a 1-bedroom apartment, and he has no one. It's like she was talking about herself. Because she doesn't have that either.
So what do you guys think that has changed this season? Because, you know, being completely honest, you know, and this is also just being completely honest with you that watched the show, what's changed this season? Because Scandal is not the same as it's been in the first 2 or 3, you know, the first 2 seasons, I would say, were like my favorites, where it really did concentrate a lot on the scandal, and I miss that.
Yeah, I do too. I think that they're trying to do too much. I think that when you start doing a new show and you get really positive buzz about it, you want to like try and keep those ratings and try and keep those viewers. And at the beginning of a show, you're trying to prove yourself. So you have so much to gain from being awesome. Now I think it's very hard to, have that in longevity. And they're just trying to pack as much in so that everyone talks about it, if it's a timely issue, whatever it is. And I think that it's become a little bit overwhelming with drama.
I think the shock value of all of it has it's become a thing where it's just the shock value, and it's like, let's bring this out, because at first we thought Mellie's sister, oh my God, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Right.
Twisty Jake, oh my God, that's going to be so exciting.
Right.
And then all of a sudden we get it, and it's not as exciting as it was. And I feel like before we really didn't get anything, and then all of a sudden things happened, and we were like shocked and all sitting around the water cooler or standing around talking about it. And so. I miss some things about Scandal, I have to say honestly, and this season is not doing it for me. I mean, I'm just being honest as a fan, because I am a fan of the show, but I'm also being honest that this season's not doing it for me the way that it has in the past.
For me, what do you guys think? The first half of the season I thought did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty strong.
The back half has been a little bit muddled with too much that you know.
Well, I think that we need to go into some of our favorite moments, because saying all of that, and we talked a little bit about this episode, and I want to revisit some of our favorite moments, and I know you guys have some, so we're going to do that. But first, we're going to take a quick break, and if you meet us back here, you get to see what our favorite moments are on Scandal. We'll be right back.
Just in case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live.
Just in case you missed it live.
Oh, just in case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live, I'm doing something right now.
So we're all super excited.
So this is dancing.
So what would that be, like a 7?
I cannot. I literally cannot. You guys have got to get it together.
Don't hate the player, don't hate the game. Hate the contract you didn't get.
He's a coward. He's a giant chicken shit.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It's going to be like hurricane. Whoa.
Watch out for those girls. They are gagging them.
Hold the phone.
Hold on.
Bro.
The more brutal you are, the more power you have.
Right.
That was sexy. It was hot. It was heated. I was into it.
You are going to be the most high-paid hooker in the world.
Go ahead and invite your friends and everybody. Tell your mama. Tell them don't go ahead and turn the stove off and get up on the computer so we can get on the stream.tv.
Thank you again for joining us, and until next week, bye-bye.
Hey, Gladiators! Thanks for coming back. We want to just talk about some of our favorite moments here on Scandal really quick. And I think one moment that is Jillian's favorite, not I think, I know, is Mama Pope.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about that we were going to do this, that was the first thing that came to my mind. I love the idea that, Olivia thought her mom was this great person who passed away, and it turned out she was actually a terrorist, and her father was protecting her, and she was in a hole. And, the whole rise and fall of her character where she's in the hole, she got out, and then she, got right back in.
I love Mama Pope. I loved her from the moment she hit the scene. I thought that her storyline was so good, and I wish that they would have done more with her, because I loved Mama Pope. I mean, that whole thing, when she first came on the scene and arrived, I was like, whoa. And then when we found out who she was, and just she's so cool and so slick, and so like snappy with it, and
and she has this she has this elegance, but it's also this Motown elegance where it's just the smoothness and this look about her. Like she's this deadly animal that she could just attack you at the same time, yet walk in this Jimmy Choo shoe.
And she's kind of she's solid. She can't be broken. She's always got something going on, which I think was appealing, because it was okay, Olivia became this person not knowing who her mother was, and even though Olivia is more on the good side, she's a lot of parallels with her, and it's we didn't know who she didn't know who she was, and we didn't know who she was, and it was kind of shocking, and I love that was good Scandal.
Yeah, it was good Scandal, and I hope that they do more with her this season and in seasons to come.
Yeah, we haven't seen her in a while.
And I know our next Scandal moment that we remember, and that is one of our favorites, it comes from AJ, and you
Yes, I love it.
Fitz and Liv.
Yes, Fitz and Olivia, the first sex scene. That was the
good.
most intense thing I'd ever seen on air television. And I was like, oh my goodness, you know, is this HBO? It was hot, it was steamy, it was played out well, and the intensity and buildup, like Shonda Rhimes had me at hello.
Right. And it was intense in that hotel room. Am I right with the hotel room? And I mean, I remember her like jumping on him.
The white lace.
Oh my God, with like the white lace.
I need a minute.
The white, it was like the innocence was still there, but it got dirty really fast. And they were showing things like him going, moving down. I was like, is this ABC?
And we were learning more about these characters at that time. And it was like, once you saw that, you were kind of like hooked.
And then what? You go to they pan to the bottom of the floor, and then you get to see the recording device. And
oh God,
that's when you knew
Jillian,
that was on.
Like just the story moving it forward. I think that always makes like a sex scene more exciting because they're like the narrative is so.
Well, and like that scandal that came out after about how like they were using the tape against them, right? Like, and it was no one knew it was Olivia, and that was also good.
That was good
and
scandals.
I love it. Mellie's like, it was
so
me.
good.
Right. No, that was good stuff. Well, one of my favorite moments was when Sally Langston killed her husband.
Oh, great moment.
First of all, you guys should know by now, I love Sally Langston. I hate her and I love her at the same time. And I love that scene where she killed her husband because it was so played out with her self-righteousness and her lecture and everything. And then all of a sudden, she just, what seemed to be so calmly, took him out. And he was like laying on the floor and she was like, she went to the phone like, okay, now I need to do something about this. It was crazy, blood everywhere.
And by the way, that whole idea of that storyline is what we kind of were talking about tonight. It lacked. Because that was something that happened and then was drawn out over a long period of time, and they're still using it against her. Like, that's the sort of thing that we were craving. So much happened tonight that we didn't get. So I think that that's a perfect example of that.
Yeah. I love the way that played out with Cyrus's involvement and all of that, and his husband. He kind of pimped his husband out, and everything was really good.
Man, James.
And also, one thing that I really loved too was Defiance. I loved finding out about everyone that was involved in Defiance. I just remember that door opening and that table with all of the parties that were involved, and they were just, it was shocking. You were like, oh my God, it's Mellie in Defiance and Cyrus and Verna. I mean, they were all just sitting around there, and then Olivia walked in and took her seat, and it was like, whoa, this is deep.
Wait, remember when Fitz killed Verna because she wanted to say the truth?
Yes. Oh my God.
That was good.
Yeah, like everyone was like, Fitz is so good. I'm like, Fitz murdered somebody on
right.
their deathbed.
Well, but I think that really folded in the big like issue of, I don't know, is like what is good and what is bad, you know? And it's like, is what Olivia and everyone doing really benefiting people, right? And that's always a recurring theme.
There's a common element on Scandal where people do so much bad, but they say it's for good. Yeah. You know, like that. Like you kill someone, but Huck kills someone, but it's to get his family. Like it's okay.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I did think that this episode was very funny with like how many people Jake Ballard killed, and just kind of like, well, I don't know, maybe he's still good, and you know,
Well,
but like the people, the one guy that lived is also like a mass murderer, you know?
Absolutely, and everyone, no one goes to jail. They all just murder people and they walk around. They don't go to jail. They just keep rolling because they've got privilege. Christina, what was one of your favorite moments?
Yeah, my favorite was this episode with the young man shot in the street and his father defending him. And I think it sort of didn't have the longevity of like these full Scandal story arcs, but it was just this encapsulated, beautiful, poetic piece that spoke so much to what's happening present day that it's just unforgettable. And that Billie Holiday song at the end, I mean, it was just so moving. I really wanted to honor that episode. And
it was a
Shonda
good
Rhimes
episode,
did.
and it was also like highly controversial, and it also went along with what's going on in our society. So I mean, I thought it was a great episode, and all the talk that went around it. I noticed there wasn't like as much talk as I thought there would be around it, but I think that it's such a sensitive issue with people that, you know, if you may have feelings on one side or the other, I think that, you know, it's one of those things that as a country we haven't fully dealt with yet. So I love that she had the courage to bring it out. Yeah, I love it. Well, all right, you guys, this is actually going to be our last episode for this season. This is going to do it for us tonight, and we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us this season. All of us are still going to be tweeting and watching Scandal, and would love to continue to talk to you about Scandal on Twitter, on Facebook, wherever you are. We'll be right on there with you. And we want to thank you for joining us this season here at thestream.tv and for making us your after show for Scandal. Please enjoy the rest of the season. We'll be right there along with you. And thanks again. And we want you to have a great night. And we'll hopefully see you next season. Good night, Gladiators.
Good night.
For more Scandal After Show, hit that button and subscribe to thestream.tv.